Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. For those of you that do not know, I'm Dr. Tad, and welcome to Organic Living Chiropractic. So this is our second class on how do we turn pain into pleasure. And the more and more I've been researching this and the more and more I've been applying this specific technique, and whenever I started getting into teaching people this special technique, what I found is there's actually a lot of fear about not being in pain. There is a big resistance that people have unconsciously. They don't think they do. If you ask them, hey, do you want to be in pleasure or do you want to be in pain? They'll naturally say, I want to be in pleasure. But whenever it really comes down to actually doing the very simple things that it takes to shift the brain out of processing through pain and into processing through pleasure, most people don't do it. Even though we know how to do it. It's like our brain just is like, yeah, that's just not important. And one of the things that I've recognized is that part of the fear behind, the unconscious fear behind letting go of pain is, number one, how am I going to get love if I'm not hurting? How am I going to get love unless I try to get someone to be compassionate about me because I'm in pain? That's a deep, deep-seated unconscious fear of what would happen if we don't have pain. And the second one I'm finding a lot of is, how am I going to make progress if I don't have pain? If nothing sucks, how am I going to make anything better? How am I going to know if something needs to be better? So it's really, really strange to be able to do something to shift ourselves out of pain and then not remember that we can do it. So as we're starting to learn this, and as we're building on the skill set, just remember, you're gonna need some reminding. You're gonna need some reminding that you can actually do this. So write yourself notes, get a partner. Accountability with somebody is one of the absolute best things that we can do to not only for ourselves, but all of humanity. And when we're practicing this, remember, this is a skill set. Yes, you can do it, but you can also get better at doing it. And if you and another person practice this on a regular basis, anytime any type of pain comes up, you'll have so much muscle memory in a sense. It'll be so ingrained that this is what you'll do. The pain will come up and you'll just notice yourself in the middle of it. I've literally woken up in the middle of the night doing some of these exercises. That's how ingrained it is. And I can also move through massive amounts of pain in very short amount of times. And whenever I'm talking about pain, remember, all pain is a creation, is an experience. It's a lens through which we are viewing our current experience. Physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, they are all the same lens. Pleasure is the exact same thing. It's a lens through which we interpret experience. It is not a sensation in and of itself. So when we are looking for pleasure, this is the hard part. Most people are very, very aware whenever they're in pain, but few of us are actually aware when we're in pleasure. And sometimes pleasure can just be soft. It could just be calm. It could just be smooth. Pleasure is not always ecstasy. It's not always bliss. It's just a sensation that we're experiencing, and then we go, hey, you know what? I wouldn't push this sensation away. I would actually stay in it if I wanted to. So it doesn't have to be massive, and the pain also doesn't have to be massive in order for you to practice this. So the last class that we did, we went into the neurology, we went into the physiology, we went into the psychology, we went into the generality of this exercise. So today, we're just going to do the nitty-gritty. We're going to get down to rubber meets the road, and we're actually going to experience what is it like to do this process. This process is the same for every single person, but the way that you do this process is unique. There's going to be some parts of this that you're really going to resonate with. And it's like, wow, I can definitely experience that. Or wow, I can really change it in that way. There's going to be other parts of this process that's just like, yeah, that doesn't necessarily work for me. Great, don't do it. If it doesn't work, don't spend any energy and time doing it. Only focus on what works. Only focus on what's easy. If you are trying, if you are struggling, if you are efforting, which lens do you think you're working through? The pleasure lens or the pain lens? If you're trying, you're pulling yourself back through the pain lens, okay? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to walk somebody through this, okay? So I'm going to need a volunteer. Oh, actually, before we start this, there is a sign-up sheet that we are going to put in on the front desk. That sign-up sheet, number one, if you are interested in getting the first class, there's a little checkbox that says, give me the free gift. If you're interested in getting on our email list so that you'll have future access to more classes, go ahead and check that box. If you're interested in getting a discovery call, which is you get to call us up and we get to chat about what's happening with you, what are your deeper desires, what do you feel is in your way, what's causing you the massive amount of pain that you're in life, and what are the things that are going to help you to shift that into experiencing your life and yourself through pleasure. That's a free call. And if you're interested in signing up for an exam, there's also a checkbox for that. So don't forget that. If you're watching digitally or online, you can either comment or message us, whichever one of those interests you. So today I'm going to need a volunteer. Now, when I am asking for a volunteer, the most important part about being a volunteer is that you are so done with whatever sensation you're struggling with. You are so done that if I told you that you were going to have to go and poke somebody in the eyeball to get rid of your pain, like you would stop and consider it. You'd be like, that might be worth it, okay? So I'm going to ask for a volunteer that wants to shift a sensation, but you have to be ready to do whatever it takes, because some of this stuff is weird and it's going to be, a little bit not necessarily physically uncomfortable, but socially uncomfortable to do some of these things. So is there anybody that's really interested in getting rid of a sensation? Come on up, Jess. So we're going to fit this right here. Okay, now, so you've been paying for a little while, huh? And it's been pretty stubborn, huh?
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you're actually feeling?
Okay. So I'm having like low back to now all the way radiating all the way down into my calf, nerve pain that's sometimes grabbing, sometimes sharp, sometimes dull, pretty much always there in some capacity.
So right now it's always there. It is there.
It's there.
Okay, so right now, tell me the exact sensation that you're having.
In color, shape, size, all those things?
Whatever you want to.
Okay. So right now I would say it's black, it's radiating, kind of like pins and needles / I don't know, the worst feeling of your leg falling asleep kind of feeling, like right down the back of my hamstring.
Okay, so that's pins and needles.
Pins and needles.
It's black. What is the worst feeling of falling asleep? I get that, but I want you to describe it in intimate terms.
It's that, I guess, pins and needle burning.
Burning,
and then
pins and needles.
In this case, like there's almost like somebody has, like I don't know, those toys when we were kids that have like the little jaws on them, and they're just like, it's just like pinching, like,
So
let me
there's a
just grab you down the back
sharp
of the leg.
pinch.
Yes.
Okay. And is that sharp pinch in one area? You said it keeps grabbing down.
No,
Is
it's
it
like-
moving?
It's moving.
It's moving. So
Yes.
there's movement to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's going, it's burning, it's tingling. And is there any kind of, you said it's pinching?
It's
Like a
definitely
s-
pinching, and then
squeezing.
there's like some, like in parts when it gets to certain parts of the leg, it will throb, like
And
kind of,
throb.
yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to do right now is as close to it as you can get, and even if that means you do it on the front of your leg. I want you to draw the exact size and shape of it. I want you to curiously, don't pretend that you know, but find the edges.
Okay. So it kind of comes like this way,
Okay.
and then it goes back out,
Okay.
and then goes like, it's like this big.
Okay. And so down at the bottom of your leg, it's about the width of your two
Calf.
fingers?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so
I would
width
say
of the
like
whole
the
calf.
Width of the whole calf.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to draw that shape on the front of your leg.
Okay.
Use your fingertips and the exact, I want you to trace the edges of it. You're mapping this out. Now, while she's doing that, I'm going to explain what's happening. So first off, any type of pain is actually the brain seeking information. When the brain does not know we are safe, it is going to send out the fire alarm. The fire alarm does not tell us where the fire is, and it doesn't tell us what's burning. It just tells us we have a problem. I don't feel safe. So the first thing in order to shift pain is to feed the brain more accurate information about what's going on, because all pain is a sign that we need to change. We have to stop. We have to pay attention because change is needed. The more information that we feed to the brain, the easier it is for our brain and body to come up with an accurate solution. So when we're tracing this out, we are feeding the brain information about the exact location of where this sensation seems to be coming from, not only in our body part, but also through our fingertips. So we're getting multiple parts of our brain to work together, feeding in more information. Now I want you to take one finger and I want you to point to the very, very start, beginning, center, epicenter of the pain. If you were going to say the pain is coming from right there, okay? Now what I want you to do, you've touched it in the back. Now I want you to touch that same spot but from the front, okay? And it's right there, but it's deep, deep inside. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want you to hold your finger right there. And I want you to pay attention for any type of movement that you may experience right at the very center of it. The movement could be a vibration, it could be a pulsation, it could be a slow increase or decrease. Was there any sort of fluctuation to that sensation whatsoever?
Yeah, it's definitely more like a pulse, almost like as, I don't know, kind of feels like as blood goes out, like there's a pulse and then it like goes down and then it pulses back.
And so the pain moves that way and then comes back up, okay? So what I want you to do, okay, and again, we're expressing this pain, we're exploring this pain in multiple different parts of our body to link more parts of our brain. With this hand, I want you to imagine that this hand is being remote controlled by the movement of the pain. And I want you to follow and express the movement with that hand and arm, however you want to. Okay, stay with it. Good. Okay, do me a favor, keep your spine straight while you're doing this. Yep. Now lean back. Lean back. You don't have to follow the pain, just express it as if that was remote controlled. Okay? And what we want to do is we want to have ease in the system. So if we're really, again, torquing ourselves, distorting ourselves, trying, we're kind of missing it. Okay, so just pretend that you're expressing that as if that hand is undergoing an interpretive dance of the pain. And we're bringing the brain into the present moment. Many times, our favorite way to avoid taking in information, to avoid feeling, is to think about it, to pretend, oh yeah, I know what's going on, instead of actually being with what's happening right here and right now. Okay, anytime somebody comes into my office and they're like, oh, this pain is just killing me. It's like, okay, I know you're not paying attention because I saw you walk in, so I know it's not killing you. But you're thinking that it is, and the second we start thinking, we freeze the information as it is in the body. Feelings and emotions are about movement of energy. So when we are in our feelings, when we are in our emotion, we are actually moving information and energy through our body, and thinking frees that. If everything is going perfect, go ahead and think. If something needs to change, we need to be in our feelings. So what did you notice whenever you were following it that you didn't recognize before you actually started following it? Did it surprise you? Was there something different, new about it?
It's definitely, I would have said, way more on the back of my leg before, and now it's kind of like the whole leg, all the muscles of the leg are involved, and like that last little pass, like the top of my foot even.
Right. So newness and novelty is what we're going for, because that's what the brain needs. In order to do something different, it has to take in different information. And if all we're doing is focused on one little part, but the whole leg is involved, like, our brain would need to know that. So just by playing around with that, you recognized, oh crap, there's more pain.
Right.
Oh
Yes.
man. This is where the courage comes in. Now, when we're experiencing, experience is not just sensation. Experience has a meaning aspect to it. And the meaning that we give things can either make it much, much worse or make it much better. So, this pain, if you were going to listen to this pain, and this pain was going to speak to you, I want you to feel your body. There's 4 types of pain. I want you to tell me, which one of these does your body tell you? Does your body react to, saying, that's the one? The first type of pain is the fear of being in pain. The pain that no matter what, life involves pain, and we will never, ever, ever get away from pain. And no matter what we do, we have to feel pain. So is it the pain and fear of being in pain?
No.
Number 2. Is it the pain of not being in control? I'm trying, I'm doing it, things would go so much better if life and this body and everyone around me would just listen to me.
Maybe.
Maybe. Is it the pain of not making progress fast enough? You've done the things. You have been dedicated. You've had the practices, you've learned, you've grown, you've made changes, and you're just not as far along as you thought you would be at this point. And all of the stuff that you've been trying to do is just not making progress fast enough.
Probably.
Did everybody see your body take that big, deep breath? It's like, finally I'm seen. Okay, the last pain. This is the pain that most people will distract themselves with. This is a rarer type of pain, even though most people will go towards it. The 4th type of pain is the pain of not knowing or not being able to share your unique gifts.
It probably actually is that one.
Okay, what did you guys know with her body? What did her body do with that one? It cringed, it tried to move away, okay? There's a lot of movement with that one. Whereas
my
whenever...
throat went like...
Exactly. Whenever we went to the 3rd one, that's the one, okay? This is a lot more energy than this. This is our energy going opposite our direction. So although that one, the fourth one, is probably the one that occupies your mind and your life the most, it's not the one that this one's expressing.
Okay.
So pay attention to the pain.
Okay.
At this point right now, what is different about the pain than whenever we first started?
It's definitely mostly duller.
So it's duller, isn't that nice?
It's, I would say, spread, so it's not as like intensely biting in a certain spot. There's definitely much more just of the tingly feeling,
Good.
almost the numbness feeling, than
Good.
any sharp pain.
There's no more biting.
Right.
It's just the tingling. It's more diffuse. It's less intense.
Yes.
And it's less localized.
Yes.
That's a big change on a pain that a lot of people struggle with their whole life. It's called sciatica. Okay? And that's a massive amount of change in just a few moments. So, what else would you say about this pain? If that tingling, is the spread, the movement of it, is that still going up and down?
It is.
Okay. So if you were going to change it in some way, if you were going to interact it, if you and your body were going to team up and you were going to play with this pain, would it be easier to change the tingling, or would it be easier to change that pulsing movement? Which one's easier? And even a tiny bit of change counts.
It feels like it's easier to control them and change the movement.
The movement.
Play with the movement.
Okay. So if you were going to change the movement, what's the easiest way for you to change it? To speed it up or slow it down? For you to change directions? For you to change the size of it? For you to change the shape of it? Or for you to change the intensity of it?
It seems like I can change the intensity the easiest.
Intensity is very often the easiest to change, and we always go with what's easy. And what's easier, making it more intense or less intense?
I'm actually able to do both.
Okay. Normally, it's way easier to make things worse. Always easier to make things worse. And if you have to start off with that, fair enough. Okay? So go ahead and make it as bad as you possibly can. Increase the intensity. Increase it, increase it, increase it. Okay? Tell me whenever it is as intense as it will go. Not as you think it should be or want it to be, but just as much until it reaches its limit and it's like, yep, it doesn't seem to be changing any more than that.
I can't.
Got it?
It won't go more intense right now.
It won't go more intense. Oh, okay. Can you make it less intense? Even a little bit counts. And if it's a small change, it's easy to bypass that. Be like, oh yeah, there wasn't a change. Be like, no, actually it changed a little bit, but it's just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can do it.
you can decrease it. Okay. Now increase it again. Make the intensity as strong as you can. Got it? Okay, now decrease it. Got it? Okay, so just relax. Just let go. Okay, what's different about it now?
It's mostly not there.
It's mostly not there. Well, crap, I have a lot more to
I know.
explain.
No, there's still
Dang
some.
it.
There's still some. I would say it shifted, like,
Good.
the calf has been the worst
Right.
lately, and
Right.
the calf is kind of taking its break now.
Okay, so here is another common thing that we will skip over. Is it actually pain right now, or is it just a sensation? Because there is a difference between pain and a sensation.
Yeah, I would say the calf, there is still a sensation. I would say the pain is moved to like a spot on my hamstring.
Okay, good. What is the sensation of this place that it used to start in? What is the sensation right now?
When we talk about it, it goes.
Don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me. Okay, so we can talk about it. So what's the sensation right there?
Now it's like almost like a straight needle, just like somebody's poking. It's actually the feeling of when you get an injection and they squeeze the fluid in, that
Okay.
burning.
Okay, so there's a burning, there's a very, very pinpoint size
Spot,
to it,
yep.
and is there any movement to that? Is there a vibration to the burning? Is there a increase or decrease in intensity? Is there a flow, like it goes from the outside in or the inside out?
I would say there's more of again, the pulsing, like it goes in and then it like comes out.
Perfect. Okay. Now, if you were going to change the speed of that, what's the easiest thing to change? And it may not be speed. You might be able to change the direction. You might be able to change the location. You might be able to change the size of it. You can change the intensity. What's the easiest thing to change about that?
It's again kind of intensity.
Okay, go for it. Is it easier to increase the intensity or easier to decrease the
It's
intensity?
easier to decrease.
Decrease the intensity. Okay, decrease it as much as you can and tell me whenever you got it.
Okay.
Okay, now increase the intensity.
It won't.
So it just stays decreased. Man, that sneaky pain. So if you were going to change something other than intensity, what would be the next easiest thing to change? Could you move it forward or backward or up or down, deeper in, out? Could you twist it? Could you turn it? Even a little bit counts.
Yeah, I can definitely move it.
Good. How can you move it? What's the easiest way to move it?
It's easiest to move it up.
Okay, move it as high up as it'll go. Got it? Okay, now move it down as low as it'll go. Got it?
Okay.
Okay, now move it up and decrease the intensity even more.
Okay.
Now relax. That's it. Let your body move around. Let it shift. Let it change. Okay, what do you notice now?
I would say that particular sensation is mostly dissipated.
Okay, so what is it now? It's not the same sensation. It's different, but something is there. Every part of our body is feeding our brain information all the time. So when we say, oh, it's not, we go, okay, that means we're not paying attention. So what is it now?
Now it's more like a spread burning, not so much the needle pinpoint. It's just
Good.
more like the whole hip is just kind of like.
Now, when you say burning, is there an actual heat to it? Or is there more of kind of like a agitating vibration? Whenever you say burning, which one is it? Is it a temperature sensation or is it a movement sensation?
No, it definitely feels more like a temperature sensation.
Temperature
Almost like
sensation.
somebody's holding like a flame there.
Good. And is there a pressure associated with it?
Not really.
Okay. And if it were a color, what color would it be?
It would be orange.
Orange. Okay. Now, I want you to pay attention to everything in the room, including the body. I want you to scan around, and now we're going to go total opposite. What feels the best? Find a sensation. And remember, we can feel the weight of the gravity. We can feel the temperature of the air. We could feel the movement of the air. We can feel the space around us. Our sensations are not limited to just inside the body. So when we're looking for something good, okay, just remember, when we're looking for something bad also, it may not be inside the body, and that's okay.
The energy of the plant is
The energy of the plant. And how would you describe the energy of the plant?
Peaceful.
Okay, and what is the sensation that you're calling peaceful? Is it a movement? Is it a texture? Is it a color? Is it a density? Is it a weight? These are all things that we can feel. These are all sensory terms. Is it a color?
It's definitely a color that's, it's green, but it's not the green color of the plant itself, more like a yellow green.
Okay. So it's a bright, light,
yeah.
elevating, vibrant green.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
And its energy is light.
and it's light, it's bright, and it's green.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want you to, with this hand, okay, I want you to, reach out, and I want you to draw the exact shape of that sensation. Okay, find the edges of it. Now, when we're making these connections in the brain, remember, the more connections we make, the more computing power that we have, the more solutions that we're going to come up with. So just as it's important to be fully aware of every aspect of the sensation we don't like, it is equally important to be fully aware of the sensation of pleasure, of the sensation that we enjoy. Pain is so much easier to be with if we experience it simultaneously with pleasure. So, if you were going to change the sensation of the plant, what would be the easiest thing to change? Could you change the intensity of how you feel it? Could you change the size of it? Could you change the shape of it? Could you change the color of it? Could you change the speed of it? Could you change the direction of it? Could you change the weight of it?
I can change the size.
The size. Easier to make it bigger or smaller? Let your body move around. Her body's processing with this. Okay, totally let your body move around. Movement is major fuel and sustenance to the brain. It is both fuel, information, fuel, and nutrition.
It's easier to make it bigger.
Okay, make it as big as you can. Tell me whenever it's as big as it can. And this is only a matter of seconds or so. Okay, we don't have to force this stuff. We're just like, yep, that seems as big as it'll go. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, now make it as small as it'll go.
Okay.
Okay, make it as big as it'll go. Make it as small as it'll go. Okay? If you were going to change your sensation of the plant in a different way, other than size, how else would you change it? Intensity, speed, is there a movement to it?
There doesn't seem to be a movement
No
to
movement to it. Okay.
Um,
Could you change the location
There's
of
a
it?
density to it.
Density.
And I
Could-
feel like I can make it lighter.
Good. Okay, make it as light as it'll go. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Make it as dense as it'll go. Good. Make it as light as it'll go and make it as big as it'll go. Make it as dense as it'll go and make it as small as it'll go. Got it? Make it as big as it'll go and make it even denser. Make it small and make it light. Good. Keep going. Let your body move. That's it. Now make it big and even lighter. And just relax. What's different about the pain now?
I'd say it's moved.
How so?
It's definitely now very focused, just sort of right behind the knee.
Just behind the knee.
Mm-hmm. It's
And
not really up and down the whole leg anymore.
awesome.
Until I say that, and then
Hello, I'm
here.
still here. Okay, so what is the sensation behind the knee and what is the sensation in the back of the
sensation
pelvis?
on the hip joint is more, again, that shot feeling. The back of the knee is almost like somebody's got a tennis ball and is so it's not sharp.
So there's like a density there.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's like I'm sitting on a tennis ball.
So there's just like a density.
Mhm.
Good. So it's not even a pain. It's just a density. And you don't have to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
there's a
have to like that it's not pain?
No,
Okay.
well, no, you don't have to like it, the sensation. But just because we don't like a sensation doesn't mean it's pain. There is a difference, okay? So it sounds like this one over here. What's that?
That's that needle, like the fluid feeling again, like
So-
in and out.
Burning and
Burning.
sharp are definitely a type of pain. So we're going to keep working with that one, okay? So, you ready for the hard part?
Sure.
Okay. Touching that sensation right there, okay? If that sensation, that burning, sharp, pushing, spreading out, if that were a sound, if that were a note, okay? It's not going to be a pretty one. What sound or note would that be? Would it be high pitch? Would it be low pitch? Be low pitch?
Yeah.
Okay, so just go ahead and make as close to the sound as you can. Keep going, keep going. We want to do this for 7 to 10 seconds. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Good. Okay, and relax. Okay. Now, can you feel the energy of the plant? Okay, if that were a sound, what sound would it be? High pitch or low pitch?
It's high pitch.
High pitch. Okay, go ahead and make that sound. As close to it as you can. Just the act of making sound affects the nervous system in multiple ways, and I'll get into that in a minute.
It's kind of just like,
Okay, keep it going. Less breathy. That's it, right there. That's it. Little louder. Little louder. Beautiful. I like that plant.
good plant.
Okay, now I want you to feel the pain again, okay? And I want you to feel the very center of the pain. And I want you to feel the outer edges of it. That place where the spreading seems to stop and dissipate. The very, very outer edge of the burning. You got it? Okay, if the outer edge of it was a sound, would it be high pitch or low pitch?
It's kind of in the middle.
In the middle? Go for it. Keep going. Very good. Okay, now I want you to tune into the plant again. The very, very center of the sensation of the plant. Okay, I want you to find the outer edges of it. Right where that bright, vibrant green light sensation seems to dissipate, what would be the sound of the outer part of that plant? High pitch or low pitch?
It's also kind of middle-ish.
Good. Starting to recognize there's a similarity. Okay, go for it. Very good. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to go back out to the plant. Okay, I want you to increase the size, the lightness, make the sound of it, and bring all that closer to the pain. Like you're seeing if you could, using all three of those, increasing the size, increasing the lightness, and making the sound, see if you could get that sensation to come closer to the sensation of the pain. Remember, even a little bit counts. You don't have to make it all the way. You just have to make a change.
Do I make the sound?
Of course you make the sound. Good. Now, go to the pain. Okay? Increase the intensity, increase the size, increase the shape, and make the sound, and see if you can bring the sensation of the pain closer towards the sensation of the pleasure. Even a tiny little bit counts. Okay, open the mouth. That's it. That's it. And is that the very center of the pain sound?
It is now.
Good. Okay. Now, you notice how they're starting to sound a lot more similar. Okay. Now, I want you to increase the size, the density, the lightness of the pain and the sensation of the plant simultaneously. Change both of them together. You could make one bigger and one smaller. You can make both of them bigger. You can make one lighter and one heavier, one more intense, one less intense. You can make them both more intense, both less intense. Doesn't matter. Just do them together and make the sound of them together. Just the best that you can do.
Recording in progress.
Well, that's nice.
I'm happy it's not recorded.
There. Okay, do you see her body open up for the first time? Okay, that's a parasympathetic response. That's the body opening up and saying, wow, I'm no longer needing to be in defense. And pain is all about the brain being stuck in defense. So if you were going to tune into that sensation now, what is it now?
I'm just back to the tennis ball.
Okay, but right here in the hip, there is something there. It may not be pain anymore. It may not even be a negative sensation. How would you describe it? How do you know your hip is there instead of being over by the door?
I can feel it.
Yeah. What are you feeling?
What am I feeling?
Is it a weight? Is it a density? Is it a texture? Is it a color?
It's a color.
It's a color.
Yeah, the color's orangish now.
Okay. And
Orange
is
yellow.
it bright? Vibrant?
No,
No?
just kind of.
Is it drab, dull? Bleh.
It's changing.
Good. How so? Describe it. Watch it change and tell us.
It's kind of changing. Now it's kind of more of a dark red, and then yeah, it's settling there.
And settling.
Dark reddish color.
Dark red. Okay. And if you were going to say, if you were going to give dark red a meaning, if you were going to associate dark red with an emotion, what would dark red mean? What would the emotion that would be, what emotion would be dark red?
For me, it's rooted.
Rooted. That sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? Isn't that pretty cool to be able to take a sharp, stabbing pain that spreads and turn it into the sensation of rooted? Just in a few moments. You want to get up and walk around?
Yeah.
Go for it. And everybody that's a part of my practice knows what is it that you do after you get adjusted? You find out what's different.
What's different? Like most of the upper part of it, of my leg, just feels kind of numb. The calf, I wouldn't necessarily call the sensation. I guess I would call it cramped.
So it's just tight.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
super tight on
Right.
the outside of it, almost like it's been holding me up from falling over this way.
You got it. So it's tight and it's kind of like tired. Tired of being overworked and over-relied
Yes.
on. It
Yes.
wants somebody else to do
Yes.
some of the work. Does that relate to anything in your life at all?
Yeah.
You're not alone. Me too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go ahead and take this back.
I don't know how.
That's okay.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay.
So we have the ability to take any information, to take any experience and shift it from being processed through the pain pathways that shut the body down, increase the defense mode, slow down healing, slow down growth, and we can take that same information and same experience and process it through the pleasure pathways, which increase growth, which increase healing, which increase us moving forward and evolving and learning and becoming better versions of ourselves. And we can do this in a moment. Now, what do you think the odds are that you're only gonna need to do this once? Only gonna need to learn that thing once. I don't know about you guys, but I can definitely be a slow learner. And so I've noticed that a lot of the things that I shift, I have to do it multiple times. And that's okay. Every time I do it, it's a little bit different. Every time I do it, I learn more and more and more until eventually the sensation throughout my regular part of my life is so minimal, a lot of times I just forget about it. So it's okay to change this knowing that you're gonna need to change it again. That's okay. That's not a sign of failure on your part or the technique's part. That's a sign that there's more that your brain needs to learn from this. There's more that your brain needs to glean from this in order to process the information that it needs to be processed so that you can learn what you need to learn and change what you need to change so that your body doesn't have to scream and cuss at you anymore. So now that we've all felt it, I have one more special guest, and then we're gonna go through this exercise together as a group, okay? My special guest is my daughter, Zoe. And, no, almost. Yeah, you can grab one now. And just for full disclosure, I'm paying her a lot of money to make me look good by answering these questions, okay? $5. We're going to put this right here. Now, Zoe, whether it's beneficial or not, has a dad that does this with her all the time, right? How often do you think we do this exercise?
Which one?
Changing spots.
A lot of time.
We call them changing spots because these things are not always bad, and a lot of times there's a negative association with bad. And you can change positive things. Did anybody ever think about that? Like you can change positive things, you could even make them better, just like you can change things that you don't like. So we call them spots so that there's not a negative or positive connotation with them. So how often do we do it? Like once a day, once a week, once a month, 3 times a week?
Well, it started off a lot, but now it's like slowing down, like maybe once a week, maybe sometimes twice.
Wow, so you mean that there's just less times that you need help doing this?
Yes.
Awesome, kind of like your body just does it on its own?
Yes.
So what kinds of spots have we worked with? What kinds of pain? Body pain?
Yes.
We've worked with body pain. What about feelings and emotions?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot.
What about thoughts?
Yeah.
Like being worried?
Yes.
Yeah. And
We
what
actually worked on that this morning.
we did work on that this morning. That's right. And how'd that go? How quickly did that change?
A few minutes.
I think it was like a minute or so. It was like a few seconds. That was fast.
Yeah.
You did really good. So Zoe has come up with a very special way to connect with her. Oh, 2 special ways. I'll just let her share it.
All right. So sometimes I just like make it out of clay, like sculpt it, and other times I draw it, like all sorts of things.
And when you start making it, what's different about whenever you're done making it out of clay or drawing it? How do you
gone.
feel? It's gone. That's right. So I showed you guys the weird way to do it, right? She's got the easy way to do it. It doesn't matter how you connect with these. This is just one way of connecting. What matters is that you actually connect with it. You express it and you experience it in multiple different ways. And you can come up with your own ways of doing this. So can you give me an example of a bad feeling or a feeling that you did not like? And then can you give us an example of what it turned into whenever you were done? Like this morning. You want to do that one?
Yeah.
Worry?
I was very worried
And where was that worry? Do you
Like-
remember?
here.
Yeah, it was way down here and it kind of came up. And how did that area feel when you were done? What did it turn into?
Pleasure.
Pleasure. And what kind of pleasure? Was it like excitement? Was it laughter? Was it fun?
Happiness.
It was happiness. Very, very nice. So this is something that I think kids are way better at adults than at doing. Okay, because they're so in their bodies already. They haven't been trained so much to be in their minds. So Zoe does this all the time for herself. Every once in a while you ask me for help, right? But being able to do it on your own, have you ever helped anybody else with this?
I have tried.
You have tried. Not always the easiest, huh? Have you helped your sister with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, and what happened whenever, how did you and your sister get along after you helped her with it?
Much better.
Much, much better. So this is something that we can do and is especially important for us to do together as a team, and kids are great teammates to have. Is there anything else that you want to share about spots? Or having a weird dad that makes you take care of your spots all the time?
No.
No? Awesome. Thank you so much, Zoe. We will have those clay models out front at the end of the class if you want to check them out. And Zoe can tell you exactly what spots they came from. They're really good. When you look at them, you're like, oh, I totally could feel that. So everybody sit up in their chairs. Okay, get centered over your pelvis, keeping your spine as comfortably straight as you can. Okay, and I just want you to scan all of the space around the body and the space within the body. Is there any part of that space, either all around or within, that you would like to change? That space could be associated with a physical, it could be associated with an emotional, it could be associated with a mental, could be associated even with a spiritual experience. But find something that you would like to change. Now move to something that you don't like, a sensation that you would say, if I could make this different, or if I could never feel this again, I would choose that. First step is, with your hand, with the tips of your fingers, I want you to point to the very, very center of that sensation that you find as a negative, you dislike. Point to the very center of it. Now, move your fingertips along, and I want you to find the edges of it, all the edges. The very top edge, right where that sensation stops. And if that sensation is on your back and you're having trouble reaching around, you can draw it on your front. Just know that what you're drawing is just very, very deep inside. But I want you to find every edge so you're almost drawing like you're mapping out. Be curious, the exact size and shape of every one of the edges. Now come back to the middle. Right at the middle, is there any sort of movement whatsoever? Is there any sort of pulsation? Is there any sort of vibration? Is there any sort of increase or decrease of intensity? Any sort of fluctuation or change whatsoever? Once you find the movement, then we're going to move to meaning. follow the sensation. Be with the sensation. The sensation will shift. The body will shift whenever the meaning has been found. Is it the first type of pain? The pain of not being able to avoid pain. And it just sucks that you can't feel good all the time. It just totally sucks that certain things hurt and don't feel good. And there's absolutely no way to avoid that. Is it the second type of pain? The pain of being out of control. I could do such a good job if the universe, if my body, if everyone around me would just listen to the way that I think things should go, everything would be better. I could make things so much better, and it just sucks that I'm not that powerful and I'm not in control. Is it the third type of pain? The pain of not making progress fast enough. I've done all the things, I put in all the effort, I dedicated, I learned, I grow, I change, and by now I should be so beyond this. I should be so much farther than this, but just not making enough progress, and it's not fast enough. Or is it the fourth type of pain? The pain of truly not knowing or being completely limited and blocked from sharing your unique soul gift with the world. Recognize how your body responded with each one of those. Whichever one caused an opening, whichever one caused a softening, whichever one caused a oh or a just acknowledge that. Just acknowledge how much that pain sucks. Now, scan around again. Feel the space within the body, feel the space around the body. What feels good? Where is the pleasure? Where's a sensation? Could be the sensation of called nothing, which a lot of people confuse peace for a nothingness, a calmness, a stillness, a lightness, a softness, a vibrancy, a brightness. Find something somewhere that feels good. Could be deep, deep somewhere along the core of the body. So deep in. Could be far, far out, almost as if it's in another galaxy or out in space. Find something that feels good. Now come back to the negative sensation. How would you describe the negative sensation now? What's different about it? How is it changed from what it once was? Once you can identify what's different, size, shape, color, texture, intensity, location, whatever it is, how else could you change it? Could you make it heavier or lighter? Could you make it larger or smaller? Could you change the location? Move it up, move it down, to the left, to the right, move it in, move it out, twist it, turn it. Could you change the intensity? Make it more intense, less intense. Could you change the brightness of it? Make it brighter or duller? Could you change the speed of it? Could you speed it up? Could you slow it down? Find something, some aspect about it that you and the body could work together and almost play. And whatever it is that is, okay, do it as much as you can. And then go the exact opposite. So if you could increase the intensity, then go to decrease the intensity. If you could increase the size or shape, then decrease the size or shape. If you can move it forward, then move it backwards. Go back and forth a couple times. That's all it takes. Now, what's something else that you could change about it? What's something else that you and the body could work together on impacting? If you change the size of it, now could you change the location? If you change the speed of it, now could you change the intensity? If you made it lighter before, could you make it thicker or more gooey or more solid? Back and forth, however you can change it the second way, whichever one's easier for you. Now, what about the positive sensation? In what ways could you change the positive sensation? Could you and the positive sensation work together? Size, shape, color, intensity, texture, location, direction. Now come back to the uncomfortable sensation. What's different about it? Same size, same shape? Or is it different? Is the intensity the same? Is the sensation the same? Or is it a different sensation? What's there now? Now go to the very, very center of it. The very, very epicenter, the very beginning, where it starts. If that uncomfortable sensation, just as it is right now, were a sound, what kind of sound would it be? Would it be high pitch? Would it be a low pitch? Would it be a note? Would it be a sound effect? Take a big deep breath in. Gather all your courage. Make as close to that sound as you can. 1, 2, 3, go. Keep going, 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 keep going. Good. Now find the outer edges of it. Find the border, find the boundary, right where it starts to disappear and dissipate. What sound would that be? Would it be high pitch or low pitch? Would it be a note? Would it be a sound effect? Muster all your courage. Take a big deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, make the sound of the edges. Go. Mouth open, not breath. Make the sound longer, longer. Get those vocal cords. Feel the vibration in your body. Feel that vibration of it. And relax. Okay? Now that you gave voice to the middle and the outside, what's different about it? What do you notice? What's changed? Every little piece of newness counts. If it's hard to feel, awesome! What a great change! If you're having trouble finding it, yay! What a great change! Now go back to that area of pleasure. Go back to that space and place that feels good. What's the sound of that? Right at the center. Big deep breath in. Make the positive sound. That's it. Keep going. Keep going. We got some laughter. That's it. We got some beautiful notes. Very good. Now go to the outer portions. Okay, right where the end of the pleasure starts to dissipate and turn into something else. Big deep breath in, make the sound or sound effect of the outer edges of the pleasure. Go. We got some ahs. Good. Beautiful. Gonna put you guys on a stage somewhere. That was beautiful sound. Now, go back to the discomfort and what's different about it. What's new? What's novel? What's changed? Notice if there's any resistance. Notice if the mind is starting to, and the ego is starting to violently oppose this taking back your power. Now, can you change, can you work with both the discomfort and the pleasure simultaneously? Can you change them both at the same time? This requires us to move into the upper prefrontal cortex of our brain. Go back and forth. Discomfort and pleasure, moving them, changing them, getting them to interact. As you're getting them to interact, make the sound of the pleasure and see if you can interact, bring that outer edge of the pleasure towards the discomfort. 1, 2, 3, go. Make the sound of the pleasure, bring it into the pain. That's it. Good. Next breath, make the sound of the pain as it is and bring that into the sensation of the pleasure. Go. And relax. Let the body shift. Let the body move. Let the body change. Let the body breathe. What's different about that uncomfortable sensation now? Raise your hand if that sensation you would say is definitely not as bad as it was in the beginning. Got every hand in the room, okay? Raise your hand if that sensation is no longer pain and it's just a sensation. Okay? We got most of the room. Okay? Raise your hand if you noticed that your mind and your ego were violently reacting to this and now you're really discombobulated and you're not really sure what's going on. We got one hand up. One honest person in the room. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for this. This is, I believe, one of the most important skill sets that we can have in society today. So much of our problems that humanity is in is because we are stuck completely in the unconscious habit of running our lives through the lens of fear and pain. Our ancestors needed to do that. They actually had to survive. We don't. But our bodies are wired for that. And so it's going to take very courageous individuals to rewire their bodies, their minds, and their lives so that we can move forward in life based on pleasure, being drawn into what and who we want to be instead of always limited and addicted to being pushed around and by avoiding what we don't want and who we don't want to be. So thank you so much. Please share this with as many people as you know. Share this video. This is going to be up on our YouTube page. It's on our social media page. And let's get a lot more people that are vibrant and happy and healthy and moving through life with joy and fun and pleasure and get a lot less people. So thank you guys so much. Is there any questions? Does anybody have any thoughts, any concerns, Any curiosities? Yes, we have one.
As far as applying it, is this?
Hang on, one quick.
Sure.
Here we go.
As far as applying this, is this something that could be a daily practice, or?
Absolutely.
Or I guess maybe we have things that we don't even know we need right now.
Totally. And
Yeah.
you can find little things. It's much easier to do this exercise whenever you're not, crumpled up on the floor crying.
Yeah.
So the more and more that we get used to doing this, whenever it's minor, the easier it's going to be whenever we do it whenever it's major.
Okay.
So this will work for major things, but if you are very adept at doing this, it'll work even better.
Okay, and then probably along the way, some of that stuff just goes
Oh,
away.
absolutely. Like I
And
said,
then-
I've woken up in the middle of the night. My body I was just doing this stuff.
Okay. And then I guess when you know you need it, then you can apply it.
Absolutely.
Because it's a skill that you can bring up at any time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not just physical stuff. Whenever you're feeling anxiety, whenever you're feeling depressed, whenever you're feeling sad, whenever you're feeling happy, whenever you're feeling anything, all of those things are a physical sensation. And the more and more you do this with that physical sensation, the higher up in the brain you're processing this. And so the brain and your body is going to be able to do a lot more with it.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Good
Anybody
job.
else have any questions, thoughts, concerns? Oh, yep. Zoe, we've got a question for you. Here, would you mind passing this back?
Don't hurt yourself.
Got it. She's got a question for you.
Who?
Me.
Jess.
Zoe, I want to know when you draw, because we've gotten to see your clay things, but how's that experience for you? Like, what do you draw?
I draw like what it looks like, what it feels like, and if it's small enough to fit on a piece of paper, the size.
Okay.
Do you use color?
Yes.
Yeah, the color of it too, huh? Cool.
Okay.
The whole approach though is really cool. You can do like a model version. It's all like 30 seconds.
Mhm.
You build a bridge, you name it, like all that stuff. You show us that.
You guys have some extra time?
Sure.
Because with the kids,
Only
it's
like 30 seconds.
yeah, it's a little different. You want to pass me that mic if you don't mind? All right, Zoe. So I want you to. Do you have a spot right now?
Actually, yes. Don't
You-
sit on the remote.
Thank you. So, where's your spot?
Here.
Right there. Okay. That's how big it is.
Yes.
Okay. And what's it made of?
It's like clay mixed with tar.
Like clay mixed with tar. And what color is it?
A dark, dark green.
A dark, dark green, like throw up green, like bleh green.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Does it have a name?
Fred.
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 What does Fred want?
I don't.
If you ask Fred, why does Fred want you to feel bad? What does Fred get if you feel bleh?
I don't really know.
You don't know? Well, what does Fred do whenever you ask him? Say, Fred, what is it that you want?
Food.
Food
It's either that or I'm hungry.
or hungry. Okay. What feels the best? Where's Fred's home? If you feel all around, where's the place that feels the
That way.
best? That way?
That way.
Okay. And what feels so good about that way? What's the feeling? of it?
Carolyn.
What's that feel like?
Carolyn.
What's it feel like?
White,
White
airy,
and airy.
and fluffy.
Okay, so what happens if you were to build a bridge of white, airy, fluffy from way over there all the way to Fred? Can you try it? What happens when that light, airy, fluffy touches Fred?
Fred just goes.
Fred just goes?
Just goes.
Okay, and what's there now? Is there a color there now? What is there? Is
A
it made as-
light,
It's light?
light pink.
Like pink?
And it's nice, airy and fluffy.
Light pink, airy, and fluffy. And is that better than yucky green clay
Yes.
tar? Totally. Good job. Awesome. Thank you.
Can I go back to playing now?
Go back to playing now. With kids, it's so much easier than with adults. They don't have all of this prefrontal cortex that allows them to go against their natural inclinations. They're just open and honest, and they just go with it. And so it's much easier. Sometimes there is a story behind it. Sometimes they can really get into, and they'll tell you a lot about what they're struggling with, especially if they're using the sensation to say, oh, this is what the sensation wants. It's like, oh man, I could totally see how that's a part of your life right now. So there's a lot that kids will be able to say and express and share with you if they're expressing it through this caricature of their sensation, rather than them being able to say, this is how I feel and this is why I feel it, because they're just not there yet. But awesome. Thank you so much for that question, Jess and Caroline. Any other questions? Does anybody want to be brave and share their experience? That's okay. Thank you, guys.
I would like to say my pleasure point was your music from earlier.
Oh, yeah?
And it got me to dance, and it's not something I've given time to do lately, and
So-
I can't even tell you why.
Just real quick, what is the sensation? What is the feeling of dance? If it were a color, if it was a size, if it were a shape, if it were a texture, what would the feeling of dance be?
It could change with the type of dance, but
Sure.
it's just joy.
And what's that feel like?
And it can feel
Is it a weight?
anywhere from light and fluffy,
Light and fluffy.
to deep maroon red flowing, like
Flowing, light,
like-
fluffy, deep maroon.
to,
Isn't
to the range to sensuality, the sensuality of it, and just sheer joy. And it was funny when I was, as the body moved and combining, and the painful area was dancing, it didn't feel as
That's
bad
it.
anymore.
And isn't that fascinating that even a concept, even an action like dance has a physical sensation associated
Sure.
with it? That's so cool. Thank you so much for sharing. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Again, don't forget about our sign-up sheet that's going to be out front. And if you're watching this digitally, you can comment or message us. We'd love to connect with you even more.